This is our HI8 Zeitgeist project. We researched 1948, and as well as years in and around that.
All right. So House of Un-American Activities Committee investigations by the House of Un-American Activities Committee frequently focused on exposing communists working inside federal government and working in the Hollywood film industry. And this lasted through the Red Scare. In Hollywood, they made blacklists, which were lists of persons whose opinions or associations were deemed politically inconvenient or commercially troublesome. So basically, people that were suspected to be communists. So the theme of this slide would be communism, and the effect on America was that the HUAC made everyone kind of paranoid that their neighbors could be communists, and also affected the Hollywood industry.
World War II. This conflict had around 40 million to 50 million deaths, making it the bloodiest and deadliest war in American history. This war resulted in the Soviet Union's power over Eastern Europe and enabled communism to spread into China. This war also marks the shift in power away from Europe and into us, the US, and the Soviet Union. So it affected our foreign relations, and the theme is warfare.
The Trinity test was the world's first nuclear explosion. It was a plutonium implosion device which was placed on a 100-foot tower 210 miles from Los Alamos, New Mexico. The explosion took place at 5:30 a.m. on July 16, 1945. It released 18.6 kilotons of power, vaporizing the tower on which it stood and turning the sand around it into green glass. The effect on America was that it was the first nuclear explosion, and we can now use them in war, and the theme is nuclear warfare. And this is a quick video showing the repercussions of the Trinity bomb. The darker the color is more affected by the bomb.
The Cold War started because of tensions between the Soviet Union and the U.S. after the surrender of Nazi Germany in 1945. The Cold War is marked on 1947 because of the Truman Doctrine. It changed the United States foreign policy, and was originally more drawn. The policy was the U.S. would provide political, military, and economic assistance to all democratic nations under threat from non-external to external authoritarian forces. This made the Soviet Union feel threatened. The effect on America was the start of the Cold War, and made most Americans worry that nuclear warfare could erupt at any moment. And the theme of this slide is foreign relations and nuclear warfare. Okay, so yeah, we don't have to watch this whole video, but this video is of President Truman's speech announcing the Truman Doctrine. In this video, Truman talks about how it could help other countries and change the United States foreign policy.
Alarmed at the rapid expansion of totalitarian interests in Europe and Asia, President Truman addresses a joint session of Congress on our changing foreign policy. A brave gathering hears his forthright message.
The gravity of the situation which confronts the world today necessitates my appearance before a joint session of the Congress. The foreign policy and the national security of this country are involved. One aspect of the present situation, which I present to you at this time for your consideration and decision, concerns Greece and Turkey. The very existence of the Greek state is today threatened by the terrorist activities of several thousand armed men led by communists. I believe that it must be the policy of the United States to support free peoples who are resisting attempted subjugation by armed minorities or by outside pressure.
Yeah, so that was just a short clip. We don't need to watch the whole thing.
Jackie Robinson was the first African American to play in Major League Baseball. He played for the Dodgers in 1947. In that same year, he won Rookie of the Year award and would go on to win the Most Valuable Player award in 1949, and in 1962 became the first African American inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The effect on America was that it was another step forward in the fight for desegregation and also led the way for many other baseball players. The themes are pop culture and racial desegregation.
Gandhi's assassination. On January 30th, Mahatma Gandhi was killed after a prayer New Delhi. Gandhi was the foremost leader in India's independence from the British rule. His killer was a Hindu fanatic who believed Gandhi was contributing to the Indian Muslim military. Gandhi was granted the Nobel Peace Prize for peace, and was given. It was going to be awarded, and he was going to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, but he passed away before that could happen.
During the conference to establish the United Nations, representations from Brazil, China, and China proposed that international health organization should be established. The first health assembly opened in Buenaventura on June 24th, 1948. The World Health Organization's constitution came into force on April 7th. A date since then we can call that day is the day we call World Health Day. The Effect on America helped the world join together and work to make a better place, and the theme of this slide is world relations. Alright, so on April 3rd, 1948, President Truman signed the Economic Recovery Act. The Secretary of State, George Marshall, who the plan was named after, proposed that the United States economic assistance to the post-war Europe. For the United States, the Marshall Plan provided markets and created reliable trading partners.
During the 1948 airlift to West Berlin, the US and UK delivered 2.3 million tons of food, fuel, and supplies to West Berlin, as well as more than 278,000 airdrops. The American military provided humanitarian relief to soldiers who recently fought on the battlefield. The Soviets used starvation as a means to control the population. The theme is communism and nuclear warfare.
The executive order banned segregation from all armed forces and allowed equality throughout all armed forces. So black soldiers only served in segregated units until President Truman signed the Executive Order 9981, the Committee on Equality of Treatment and Opportunity in the Armed Services, also known as the Fay Committee, after its chairman, Charles Fay, eventually got the Army to agree to open all unit specialties and training to qualified black soldiers and assign them to any unit based on individual ability or Army need. So the Effect on America was the executive order was among one of the first federal actions of the Civil Rights era to reverse discrimination against black Americans and others.
The Dixiecrat movement. The Dixiecrats were a group of Southern Democrats who broke away from the Greater Party, and because they objected to the Democratic Party's opinion on desegregation, the Dixiecrats unanimously drew upon a party platform. The platform calls for the end to desegregation for an increase in state rights. It was a short-lived setback for the civil rights movement, and the theme is desegregation.
The translator is an electrical it's an electrical regulator, and it regulates the flow of electricity with and acts as a switchgate for light switches, radios, and etc. It was built in Murray Hill, New Jersey, and in AT&T, the right section, Bell Labs.
Alright, Potassium and Column lived in Champaign, Illinois. Mom was a student attending a local school. In 1940, members of different religious faiths formed the Council on Religious Education, and it soon received permission from the local school to hold free religious classes within schools hours and on school grounds, with classes being offered once a week. Parents did have to consent form for their students being allowed to attend. The local court denied it, as well as Illinois State Supreme Court. The theme of this is educational policies.
When was NASCAR founded? NASCAR was founded by Bill France on February 15th, 1948. It was originally named the Strictly Stock Division, and the cars used were the 1939 Ford Cupid, and then Hudson Hornet, Oldsmobile Rocket 888, Ford Galaxy, Plymouth Bell Verdes, and Potomac Cadillac, and the Chevrolet Impala.
This is just a cost of living in 1948. I'm not going to read all of them, but the yearly inflation in the U.S. is 7.74%. The average cost of a new house, $7,700. Average wages per year, $2,950, and the cost of a gallon of gas was 16 cents.
So the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, 1948, the first peacetime military alliance the United States entered outside of the Western Hemisphere. The original members were Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, and the United Kingdom, and the United States. NATO sought out to create a counterweight to the Soviet Union's armies stationed in Central and Eastern Europe after World War II. The effect on America is that it gives America and the U.S. reliable allies.
The NBA was formed in 1949. The NBA was a merge of the Basketball Association of America and the National Basketball League. It was created so it was one greater base for fans to go and watch basketball. Factor in America was that it created a global brand and something so you didn't have to go to two different places to watch it. Theme is pop culture.
These are the Nobel Prize winners of 1948. Patrick Blackett won the Nobel Prize for Physics for his development of the Weissin cloud chamber method and his discoveries in the fields of nuclear physics and cosmic speculation. His character is also featured in Oppenheimer. Arne Tislas is a Swedish chemist who won the chemistry award for his research on electrophoresis absorption analysis. Paul Muller won the Nobel Prize for Medicine for his work with DDT in World War II, using it to stop malaria. T.S. Eliot won the Nobel Prize for Literature for his outstanding pioneer contribution to present-day poetry. And Gandhi was supposed to win the Nobel Prize for Peace, but was killed before it could happen.
The Ferranti Mark I was released. This computer contained index registers, which are now part of every computer. Although one of the 9 Mark I's were scrapped, and the one went to the British aircraft maker Aero. The first of the 9 machines that were made was delivered on February 12th, 1951, and the theme is pop culture. Beginning of the Korean War. The Korean War started when the Northern Korean Army invaded South Korea. In the war, around 36,000 United States military service members were killed. The start of the war, the armies were advancing and retreating up and down the Korean Peninsula. Peninsula, the aim was to unify Korea under the communist regime. Effect on America was that many American lives were lost, and the theme is warfare.
When Senator Joseph McCarthy was in power, he created McCarthyism. He rose to power in 1950 when he claimed that communists had infiltrated the State Department. The effect on America is that McCarthyism had a wide effect. McCarthyism led to increased suspicions and fear within the government, abolition of the Communist Party, and increased tension between America and the communist allied nations. The theme is communism.
Here are just some of the recurring themes we've seen in the events between 1948, behind that and before it. So here's the United States foreign relations was one of the recurring themes. The United States pop culture, which includes like sports and advancements of technology. Warfare within the United States and other countries. Nuclear warfare and communism. The United States that we're fighting against, and racial desegregation in the United States, many that contributed to the state civil rights movement.
And these are our sources throughout and sources